Good evening, everybody, and welcome back to League Racing TV for round 4 of the first season of EML Formula 1 No Assist Championship. My name is Aidan Carter, otherwise known as Commentus. I'll be taking you through proceedings on a Wednesday evening, as per usual. And we have someone new joining me in the comment box today. This is the first time that I've got him commentating alongside me, and it's the first time he'll be commentating on a Wednesday for us. It is Pepsi Freak. Pepsi, how are you doing this evening?
I am doing great. I've done a lot of other leagues. I've done it with some of these drivers and all these other things, and it's good to be here for a no assist league. And this is also, it will probably come up in the broadcast, but this is my third time doing commentary at Canada in 4 races. So I think I got this track down to a T, and I think that expertise will show.
Yeah, definitely. I think you're probably sick of this track at this point, I would say. Running Canada 3 times in about a week's space. Yeah, just a little bit.
I mean, the thing is, it's all been the same weather as well. It's been cloudy, slight overcast, no rain, and it just dries up. So if there's no rain again, a little bit of pain.
Third time lucky, hopefully. Hopefully we get some rain tonight. Spice things up here at Canada. And like you said, yeah, we are here at Canada for the 4th round of the season, off the back of the 3rd round of the season at the Baku circuit last time out. And just going to run you through what the result was this time last week. Obviously, we had a little bit of a low attendance this time in the last time we took part in this championship. I think that was because there was another event going on at the same time. So we're back to usual attendance this week, which is great to see. So running the podium sitters last time out, Amazing Hour took his 2nd race victory of the season last time out. Creaser with his first podium in the Racing Point, and M-Shot on the podium for the 2nd time this season as well. He took 3rd last time out at Baku. So that was the podium sitters last time out. Looking at the championship standings after that round as well, Amazing Hour has now jumped into the championship lead. He's only 1 point though ahead of M-Shot, so a pretty close battle at the front. Creaser up to 3rd in the Racing Point. He's on 47 points. Then it is Neo ahead of Jurassic, Zaldama, Venoms, Foxy Red, Charlie Harris and TTG Vettel round off the top 10 in the standings so far. And just coming into this, obviously you've mentioned that you've seen a few of these drivers race before in previous leagues. Who has won it this evening?
Well, taking a look at the standings and taking a look at some of the names, I just think one name that really stands out for me, I guess I'll have to go with our points leading Amazing Hour. I don't think he is here right now, and he's got 2 wins on the season from doing a little back research, and he is a pretty quick lad from some of the other leagues I've seen. So it's someone to watch out for. I think he's going to have a good chance to make his standings league grow today as well.
Yeah, really does have a good opportunity, like you say. He has been very, very strong so far this season. A bit of a poor round in Australia, but since then really has shone. Both Mercedes drivers so far this season, so Venoms and Amazing Hour, have been the only winners. We're yet to see someone other than a Mercedes win so far. Very reminiscent, really, of real life, isn't it? That we've only seen Mercedes win so far this season. Is there anyone that you think could maybe topple the Mercedes?
Well, I mean, we'll take a look at the constructor standings here, and Williams, even though they don't have any wins yet, do lead the way in the constructors with 1 point over the Mercs. So I think if anyone's going to do it, the Williams drivers, if M Short could have an answer to it, or I guess he's the only one, the Williams here today, but he's probably got a good threat to maybe topple them in retrospect.
Yeah, definitely, and M-Shot has been very, very consistent so far this season, which is why he's up at the front. Like you said, hasn't won a race so far, but is still only 1 point behind a double race winner. He's been in the top 5 in every round so far this season, has M-Shot. It's been a strong start to the season. He's definitely one of those drivers to look out for in qualifying. Going into the race, he does struggle a little bit in initial race pace in the early phase of a race, but his qualifying is very, very strong. We're getting ready then for our qualifying session, for the short qualifying session here at Canada, 18 minutes. So we'll see who we can get at the front of the field today. And looking at Montreal, like I mentioned it again, I think we're going to keep mentioning it, that you've commentated here 3 times already, but going into qualifying, this circuit is really, really a difficult track to master in qualifying, isn't it?
Oh, 100%, especially because with strict corner cutting on, it's a very easy thing if you just take a little bit, like you take that last, right for the wall champions, that last 2 chicane. I've seen so many drivers, and I've asked so many drivers, how do you take it without cutting? And then most of the time they just respond with, you don't. You just take it, and you hope you don't cut. And you can see that with a lot of, at the end of races, with a lot of invalidated laps and warnings and penalties, that it's just very easy to get it wrong or spin it because we have no traction on. It's very easy, just one little power down too quick, and the car goes around.
Yeah, definitely. It is definitely the case as well for those that maybe aren't quite used to no assist. Maybe this is the first no assist they're running, or the first time they've run no assist. This track is going to be one of those that really catches the drivers out, like you say. We have obviously got a new system on this game with street circuits, where street circuits like Canada and like Baku last week do have a tendency to be a little bit less have less grip than the permanent circuits on this game. So that is one thing to note throughout this race, that people are going to be struggling with a little bit less grip. Another noticeable thing though about this track as well is strategy. This is the first race so far this season where a two-stop is feasibly the faster strategy around here. Do you see people going for that two-stop, or do you think anyone could pull off a one-stop here?
I think a mediums to hard is possible, and I think it is feasible, but it's not going to be someone inside the top 10 that's going to pull that. It's going to be someone from 11th to 20th where they have nothing to lose, and they're like, well, I got to risk it, so why don't we go medium to hard? So I feel like it will be feasible if you're 11th to 20th, and then you can get a good points-paying finish. But if you're in the top 10, you have to go outside of softs and then go on a set of hards. But knowing this is Canada, and in all the races I've done so far this week, there has been at least one safety car, there's a good chance that all strategy will get thrown out the window, and a two-stop will happen for almost the whole field.
Yeah, definitely. And as well with the pit lane that we've got here, obviously the pit lane skips the last chicane and turns 1 and heads right into the apex of turn 2. So the pit lane loss here is only about 18 seconds or so. It's one of the shortest pit lanes on the calendar, so look out for that as to see whether anyone goes for that one-stop strategy inside the top 10 or whether people will stick to that two-stop strategy. We've got one of the Williams out, and that will be M Short. He's the first person out onto the track. Another thing to notice here in qualifying as well is going to be traffic. This track is quite short. It's one of the shorter tracks on the calendar in terms of time and in terms of length as well. Not very many corners, only 14 corners ahead of us. A tight street circuit, not a lot of room really for drivers to move out of the way. So it's going to be one thing to note in qualifying is that traffic that people are going to have to deal with. Do you see any teammates maybe possibly trying out the slipstreaming strategy here?
I think it could work, but I think it comes down to pace of the drivers themselves. Because if there's a little bit of an advantage, you don't want to run up into them and wreck the braking point going into the chicane. I think if you time it right, it's possible, but you're going to really have to sandbag one driver to make it work because the toe is good, but you get just such a run that you're just going to start fighting each other before too long. So I think it's feasible, but unlike a track like Mazda where the toe is really strong on that long straight, where you can get a couple tenths, here I just think it's not really worth the risk.
Yeah, exactly. That's one thing to look out for then. Does anyone go for the risk or do people play it safe? M Short then coming through the final chicane, and we're going to ride on board with him for our first lap in qualifying. So he'll take us through what this track looks like on a fast lap. He heads now down towards turn 1, then a short braking zone into a third gear corner, down into second gear for turn 2. One of the slower corners on the track. Short ships immediately up to 4th to nail the wheel spin on the exit of the corner. Now coming up to the turn 3 and 4 chicane. Very easy to understeer in the second part of this chicane and hit the wall, but M Short nice and neat, keeping it well away from the wall. Now through turns 5 and up in towards 6 and 7, then another chicane ahead of these drivers. A little bit of a slower chicane this one, very difficult on traction on the exit. M Short a little bit wobbly on the exit, but nice and neat enough. A second of the 3 DRS straights here, down towards turn 8 and 9, probably one of the most difficult chicanes to get right on this track. Again, M Short nice and neat through there, not pushing the boundaries of the track limits. He heads down towards the end of the second sector and the turn 10 hairpin. The turn 10, very, very difficult to get the car turned into this corner. It is actually quite a tight hairpin. The wheels don't really turn into that corner that well. It is quite a difficult corner to master as he heads through the kinks of 11 and 12 and onto the back straight. The best overtaking opportunity down towards this chicane as he heads into turn 13 and 14. Got to keep it out of the wall, and like you said earlier on, got to hope that he doesn't invalidate, which he doesn't. Does it quite nicely.
I thought that was going to be a validation, like low key there. Very close.
Very close to it as he crosses the line. A 7.5 to start off the session. Actually a very strong lap time from M Short. He did clip the wall a little bit on the exit of the corner, and that's 1.7 seconds faster than Casper. VRT Young Power has jumped up into second place on a 7.7, and Zaldama on an 8.2, just beaten by Amazing Hour, who's gone third on an 8 flat. But interestingly, our championship leader after the first runs, nearly half a second slower than M Short.
I do think, though, it's something where you'll build up your pace as the track gets more rubbered. You kind of went out there, kind of gets a feel, and I think, obviously, I think M Short was going very aggressive. You saw in some of the corners, he was getting as far out as possible, trying to get as much time. But I think our championship leader is just going to kind of take his time here, get a feel of what the car brings to him, and then is going to kind of push when the death of qualifying hits. Going to get his last run when the clock strikes midnight, so to speak.
Yeah, we'll wait and see what he can do. Creaser coming through the final chicane on a set of medium compound tyres. Podium last time out, his first podium of the season. Let's see what his time is. It's a 9.3, puts him 9th on the grid behind his teammate. Fastest medium run so far is from Harry B, an 8.5 on a set of mediums. That's a very strong lap time, actually. 6/10 of a second clear of the closest medium runner, which is Charlie Harris, 7th at the moment. So we've still got a few people to set lap times. We've already had Scott Bogner and John Helges, I believe, invalidate their first runs in the session. In fact, John has just gone and invalidated his second run as well. So he's not going to be able to get a time in on this set of tyres. Chapelele is now on a lap in the McLaren, yet to score on the podium so far. Has got the pace to be on the podium, hasn't been able to pull it together so far as he heads through 8 and 9 and just loses the rear of the car massively through turn 8, understeers into the wall at turn 9, and that is so easy to do around this track. One slight mistake and you're in the wall.
Yeah, that's 100%. I can think of multiple corners here, like you got the 8-9 compacts, like you said, but you just got like the end of Sector 1 and Sector 2 as well, where it's just, if you just get a little bit of understeer, you could just, the back end goes bye-bye, and your traction is expired, and you're in the wall, you go. So there's a lot of corners that catch these drivers out napping, so to speak, if they are not conservative on their throttle management. But the one thing I've learned with driving no traction on is you want to get as quick as power as possible, but it's a game where you have to try to figure it out when you want to put the power down.
Yeah, it's definitely, you can get caught in that trap really, can't you, where if you understeer into a corner, you try and compensate for it by getting on the throttle a little bit earlier to get the car turned, and it will just spin the car out. Formula 1 cars don't really have that ability to get on the power early, like you can maybe do in a Formula 2 car to try and get away with a little bit of understeer. You can't get away with that in a Formula 1 car. It's so easy to lose these cars on traction, which is why you see a lot of people spinning. Young Power has done a second lap on the same set of tyres. I think he only slightly improved and got a bit closer to M Short, but no closer than a 10th and a half at the moment. So he's currently in second place ahead of his teammate Hercules, driving for Team Mentalism. He's in third in the second Renault at the moment. Only 3 drivers in the 1:07. He's got one of the Alpha Tauris coming up to the line. That is a Nightshades who's just started his first run in qualifying. So ride with him and see what he can do as he heads through the first part of the lap, then coming up through turn 2. And just like we said earlier on, a little bit of oversteer on the exit of the corner. Too early on the throttle, just loses the rear of the car into 3 and 4. And again loses the rear of the car on the apex of turn 3. Gets away without hitting the wall amazingly, but that is his lap absolutely ruined. So Nightshades is going to be
100%.
well off the pace. Yeah, no way that he's going to be able to get that.
It's just, it's because, again, he's just trying to get a feel for the car in question. But I want to go back and talk about Young Power for a second because the thought came up. I don't know if that was a smart decision to take 2 laps on the softs for a very minimal improvement. Maybe he thought there was a chance to get a pole run out of it, but it seems like in these situations we want to run, as Banky and Grisai, probably butchered those, both go 3 and 4 respectively, so the 107 seems like the fast pace here today. But to go back to Young Power, having that 1 extra wear is just going to kind of hurt him trying to make that possible 1 stop or 2 stop work, because he's going to have a little extra. He's got to pit 1 lap early, around 7 instead of maybe 8.
Yeah, and it's definitely very easy as well around this track if you're pitting a bit earlier to get stuck in that traffic at the back of the field. Especially, you are likely to see a lot of these drivers start on the mediums if they start outside of the top 10. So if you do pit early and end up in that traffic, it can be very, very costly around this circuit. So that is one thing to note, especially as well if Young Power doesn't improve on that time. So we'll see if he can improve on it as the session goes on. Benny then third, Jurassic in fourth. Jurassic missing the race this time last week, back this week. Had a solid start to the season, has had 2 top 10 finishes to kick off his campaign. So we'll see what he can do this time around. Currently 4th place, just ahead of Hercules. Venoms was on a lap, but has invalidated in the first part of the lap once again. So the second run in qualifying, I believe now, and Venoms has invalidated once again. The winner of the first round of the season, looking to bounce back, having missed both of the previous races, trying to get himself back in the championship fight. Not the best start to qualifying for him so far. Scott Bugner's on a lap in the second Alfa Romeo at the moment, heading down that's back straight up towards the final chicane. So we'll see what he can do. Might be able to get just a little residual toe off the back of Creaser, who I think might be still out there on the medium compact tyres. Has actually just dived into the pit lane, having done 3 laps on the same set of tyres. Vettel's gone into P9 on an 8.7. Scott Bugner to the line, an 8.3, goes P8, just ahead of Harry B. So a good lap time for Scott Bugner to get himself comfortably inside the top 10 for the time being, but you would imagine we're going to see quite a few people maybe beat that time.
I think 100% that time will get beat, so I think he's going to have to worry about that. May have to go do another lap, but there's, again, risk-reward. That because I know this, almost every F1 fan knows this common logic, but top 10 get their have to stick with the rubber they have. 11th through 20th get a free change of tires. So there's a risk-reward. If you just get 11th, do you want to go out there and risk it, or do you want to just stay 11th because you're the best of the metaphorical rest? And you can start on a fresh tire, a fresh compounded rubber, and possibly jump a few of the soft runners that are stuck on their softs.
Yeah, and especially with tracks like this as well, it is difficult. If you're running maybe 8th, 9th or 10th on the grid on a set of soft compound tyres, you can get overtaken by the medium runners fairly early on in the race because of how quickly the soft tyres do degrade at this circuit. Within about 6 or 7 laps, the soft tyres will be comfortably slower than the mediums. So that is one thing to note as well, whether people that are maybe 8th, 9th and 10th on the grid are going to go out for a final run, and maybe they want to get beaten by other drivers that are behind them on the road. We'll wait and see. Casper and Brewich are currently on laps at the moment, so we'll see what they can do. Currently not fully representative times. Casper's first time was on a set of medium compound tyres. He's invalidated his first run on the softs. Brewich's first run wasn't quite comfortable enough as well, as he had a big moment, I think, coming through turn 8. It's half a second up at the moment, and he's got a little bit of traffic in front of him. We'll see what he can do in the final sector, but this isn't going to be enough to challenge the drivers in front of him at the moment unless he finds a lot of time in the last part of this lap. Down the back straight, he's not going to get a toe off the Renault in front up towards turn 13 and 14 chicane. We'll see what he can do as he comes through this chicane. Break it just after the 100-metre board, nice and late on the brakes. Had to take 2 stabs at turning into that corner.
Almost took the wall with him.
Yeah, nearly got into
the line. And it's going to be a run to the line here, and a 109.6, so only going to go for P14 again. So it does improve, but does not prove much more than his time.
Yeah, you can definitely see though in that final sector there was areas for improvement. A couple of stamps are turning in and a little bit of loss of traction on the exit. So Brewitt maybe not quite comfortable with the circuit at the moment. Amazing Hour has jumped up into P3 on his second lap on the soft compound tyres. So he's another one that's done 2 laps on the same set of tyres and still not quite able to get to M-Short's time at the moment. M-Short still comfortably sitting out front after that first run in qualifying. No one's been able to get into that top.
Oh, M-Short, I was just going to point out, M-Short was in a bit of a train here with the Red Bull of John Henniges and Sharpley, but John just hit the wall, got a little bit off traction, now was slow on the racing surface because he broke his wing on a set of mediums. But yeah, Short was going to have to be in a bit of a train, it looked like, but luckily he's now going to have some open, clear sailing for his one-lap pace here.
Yeah, we'll see what he can do. He's backed off down this back straight, so I think he might be letting a few drivers through. We've got more drivers on laps, and actually Venoms was on a lap, and I think has actually had contact with John coming down to the turn 10 hairpin. They're both off the road. So Venom, another lap ruined in this qualifying session. 16th on the grid at the moment. Not happy, I think, with John after that. He's going to have to dive into the pit lane, replace that front wing, get a new set of tyres on. John as well is going to have to come into the pit lane and replace his front wing after the wall that he hit a little bit earlier on. Nightshades has gone P15 on a 9.8. He hasn't been able to find enough time to get himself up the front of the field. Hercules has gone 4th on his next one in qualifying. We've now got Benny and Zalama on the next one. Zalama actually has just dived into the pit lane, so he's not found any time.
And to add trouble today, the Mercs double stacked in pit lanes. It's going to cost Venom a little bit even more time. 6 minutes to go in the session, so he should have more enough time to make 1 or even 2 more attempts. But how many sets of tires has he kind of used to make this effort work?
It seems so far that definitely Venoms has worked his way through at least 2 sets of soft compound tyres and still is yet to set a time. So if he's gone for that balanced setup, he's only really got 1 run left in this session, and that's all he can do. So we'll wait and see whether he's got the pace to pull that off. Benny has backed off his lap in the McLaren. I don't think he was improving on his time. He's just decided to wait and maybe go again on the same set of tyres. He's got enough ERS in his back pocket to do another lap on the tyres, which could be our 3rd driver now to be running 2 laps on the same set of tyres inside that top 5 at the moment. Young Power is out on the track at the moment, but he's invalidated in the first sector, so he's not found any time so far. How's M-Short doing on his lap? He's nearly a 10th up in the middle part of the lap so far, so M-Short has found a bit of time. We'll see what he can do in this last part of the lap. The Haas in front of him dives off the road. M-Short very committed through turns 13 and 14 to the right hand side of the track for the run to the line, and it's a great final sector from M-Short. A 7.4 stretches his lead at the front of the field. It's now nearly 3/10 of a second his advantage over the rest of the field, and still yet no one really able to get close enough to him.
Yeah, no, 100%. No one can really get close that time, and it just feels like we got tracks getting more rubbered, so you feel like someone will have an attempt here in the death of qualifying, but it's very hard to see, and it's, again, knowing Short is very, you said he wasn't the best qualifier in the world, so kind of shocking he's still P1, but I think things will change.
Yeah, things could definitely change. Harry B's gone up into P7 on his first lap on the soft compound tyres. Interestingly, only finding about half a second from his medium run to the softs, so not found a lot of delta in that time. Maybe that was a stunning lap on the medium tyres, whether that first one on the softs wasn't quite strong enough. We'll wait and see. Creaser has gone P8 on his first one on the set of soft compound tyres as well, so he's jumped inside the top 10. Vettel currently now in 9th on an 8.2. He recently improved on his previous lap as well. Chapelele down at the bottom of the field, still yet to set a time in the session, and he's invalidated his next one as well, so he is still yet to get off the bottom of the board. Interesting though, in the pit lane, TTG Venoms, the second Mercedes at the moment, has decided to select a medium compound tyre. Whether he goes out on that is another thing, but interesting for Venoms that he might be going for a different strategy.
Yeah, 100%. I'd like to point out that right now Young Power is up well over a quarter of a second in his time, so if he can keep this lap going, he doesn't have a purple sector 2, he could have a pole run here. But yeah, back to Venom, it's just kind of interesting. Maybe he just wants to start instead of mediums because he hasn't got anything done with the softs, so why risk an extra set?
Yeah, maybe he wants to save that set of soft tyres for the race. We'll wait and see as Young Power through the final chicane. All too committed.
100%. He tried as much as he could. He felt like that was the run, and that's the one thing that stings when you take that corner, you take a lap, and you want that last chain, like, oh, you're doing great, oh, you're up, and you just kind of psych yourself out. You're like, you looked at the time, you get the flash, you're like, I'm doing it, and then you're like, oh, God, I made a mistake. So it's just, you got to keep your head in the game. Now he's actually validated his second lap, so he's going to have to pit, and he's going to have one more run at it if he wants to. Yeah,
and that really, like I was about to say as well, that really compounds the issue if you make the mistake at that final chicane. It ruins your next one as well because your next one is invalidated. So that is that run over for Young Power. He's going to have to dive into the pit lane. He'll only get one run left. Amazing Hour as well invalidates his next run in qualifying. He's dived back into the pit lane. So still, Young Power and Amazing Hour still yet to challenge M-Short at the front of the field. Hercules in 4th ahead of Benny in 5th. Jurassic had damaged his front wing on his second run in qualifying, which is why he hasn't been able to improve on his P6 so far. He's currently on an outlap at the moment, so we'll see what he can do in the session.
What is noting is there's a lot of drivers sitting in pit lane right now. We got a couple out, but if you look through the top 10, only Guinnessy, Chrissy, Scott Burner, and Casper are all out on outlaps. Everyone else is mostly sitting in pit lane, so I think they're really waiting until 2 minutes to go on the clock. And if that's the case, there may be a big traffic jam, so to speak, with these cars rushing to get out.
Yeah, like you say, a big traffic jam, and the problem is as well, so you go out a little bit too early, you can then get stuck in that traffic jam when you're on your flying lap, so we'll wait and see what people can do. Jurassic then, around the final chicane, someone I think has gone off.
Yeah, I was not saying someone got off, I was just on Charlie there for a second. He was drifting through that corner there like we were in Tokyo. That wheel was all the way to the right, and the car was still going left. I thought he was going to take that wall for a ride, but he kept it straight, but he hasn't validated, though, so basically got a nice little show, for at least on my perspective, but I think you may have missed it, so...
yeah,
chicks do love the drift.
Yeah, unfortunately I missed that, but yeah, he'll get another run in qualifying. He's got enough fuel and enough ERS to do one more run, so we'll see what he can do. Currently on a 9.1. Jurassic then has started his lap. Krisa has started his next lap in qualifying as well, so we'll see what they can pull off. Jurassic a 10th up in the first sector, so he's found a good amount of time in the first part of the lap. Now coming through the second part of the lap as well. What is his time through the second sector? He's now 2.5 tenths up.
Guinnessy has set a purple sector 2 as well, up to probably at least a 107.7, so I'm going to keep an eye on Guinnessy here as he takes down the long straight. He's going to try to avoid the same mistake Young Power and a bunch of other drivers before him have made by taking that last chicane right for the Wall Champions as straight as possible, but if he cuts it, he's going to hurt himself here because he's probably not going to have enough time to do one more lap. So here he comes, and he invalidates. Takes too much of the inside wall. It almost took the arm cosign with him, and now he's going to have to go around again. I think, yep, he's invalidated his next lap as well because of that. So that's probably qualifying over for him.
Yeah, that is definitely qualifying over, unfortunately, then, for Jurassic, unless he can save enough ERS on this next one to go on his third lap on the same set of tyres. We'll wait and see. Krisa then has also invalidated his next one in qualifying, so that is not going to be him improving on P8 at the moment. He's going to be right on the bubble, and he's immediately backed off as soon as he's crossed the line, so that is probably his qualifying session over with as well. Charlie Harris
has called this question. Yep, he has called it a session as well. Probably did not feel comfortable improving. He'll be starting, actually, he won't be starting extended mediums if he's outside the top 10, but he's the only driver to actually keep his time on mediums. Vettel has also called it a session as well, and it looks like a lot of drivers have invalidated, and because if you validate now, you're not going to get another lap, so unless you're very close, so it's a situation of risk-reward. But even if I was a Gittersy and if I had enough time to do one more lap, would I want to? Because that would be 3 lap-old softs, and that's really not going to help you during the race.
Yeah, especially if it only gains you maybe one spot on the grid, it is not going to be worth the payoff as Casper has invalidated his first one. He's back on another run on the same set of tyres. We'll see what he can do in the second racing point. Venom's out there on the mediums, has backed off his first run on the same set of tyres, so he's going to have to go for another run on the same set. Benny, I think, will be the next person to complete, but he's also invalidated, so a lot of drivers invalidating their final runs. Chapalele has just started a run in the session, so has Zaldama, so we'll wait and see what they can do as Jurassic has retired from the session. Across the line comes Venoms. Amazing Hour has invalidated.
Amazing Hour. No, he hit those walls. That's over for him. He was up way a lot, and yeah, he just mungled it. But something worth noting is Short is up on his time, up well over 1/10, and Power is also up on his time as well. But if Short improves, Power ain't going to improve by much more. And that is the end of qualifying. And I feel like Short is going to improve here, but I don't think he'll break into the 106s, because if he does that, that would be a fast lap.
That would be a very fast lap as Hercules crossed the line. He doesn't improve on P4 in the second Renault. M-Shot up into the final chicane. Then what can he do as he crosses through? Very committed. That was beautiful. Through 13 and 14 as he heads up towards the line. It is going to be a 7.2. What a stunning final sector from M-Shot. What can Young Power do in response? Crosses the line. A 7.4. So a great final sector, but still not quite enough.
I don't think he would have even got pole on Short's original lap, if I'm not mistaken, so Short would have kept pole regardless, even though Short just got that extra lap. So, improvement that Short took the ball into his own hands and made sure to improve his time, so to speak.
Definitely did improve his time. Great stuff from there. And Zaldama, just interestingly there in the Red Bull, was going to be improving on his time, decided to back off his lap, so he decided not to improve. And that has actually cost him, because I think Zaldama could have gone up to maybe a P6 or 7. He's now actually going to be starting 10th. So that is probably one of the worst spaces you can start this race in. So that is a little bit of a bot strategy maybe there from Zaldama.
Maybe he was thinking tires. I didn't get a good look at his tires there, but maybe he thought it was a situation where he didn't want to put an extra lap on the tires. Maybe he already had 2 or 3 laps, looked at the wear, and was like, I don't want to run these in the race, so let me just take the less weared ones, even if that puts me 10th.
Yeah, we'll wait and see whether that works out for Zalama in the race. And here is a run through the full qualifying order. Then M Short on pole position from Young Power in second. Amazing Hour, our championship leader, third on the grid ahead of Hercules in fourth. Harry B ahead of Benny, Girazi, Krisa, Vettel and Zaldama are your top 10. Scott Bugner, the first person outside the top 10 in 11th ahead of Casper. Charlie Harris, Nightshades, Brewich, Venoms in 16th ahead of John Hedges. And Chapelele, who was not able to set a time in that session. The one person, though, that's definitely out of position on the grid has got to be Venoms.
He did set a lap on mediums on the death, and it looked like he did put a time down at the very least. So at the very least, he did that. But I've seen other championships earlier where drivers looked strong, and since they couldn't put down a lap of qualifying, it was foreshadowing to what they would do during the race. Because if they can't keep it clean during the qualifying session, who says they can keep it clean during the race? And it looks like it's going to be a nice dry day though for the race. So no threat of rain unless something random occurs.
Possibly, yeah. It does look nice and clear at the moment. A little bit of cloud, but nothing threatening for the weather at the moment. So it looks like you say, we could be getting that dry race. Unfortunately, might not be getting the wet rain that has been threatening all week for you, but hasn't quite turned up just yet.
I mean, the thing worth noting is, considering the fact that with dynamic weather, it usually feels like you always get at least with dynamic of one race. If you ran like 4 races in Canada, and every one of those 4 races you ran with dynamic weather, one of them is going to have usually rain, just because that's the nature of the beast around here, because they always love to have it rain. But surprisingly, out of all these 4 races, not one has had any rain, or even in some of the other side ones as well. It's just kind of shocking.
It is a big shock, actually, that we've kind of been unlucky in the weather that the rain hasn't come. The drivers are probably thanking their lucky stars that the rain hasn't
thrilled,
come.
especially in a no assist league. Yeah, they are thrilled that there is no rain. But for a viewer standpoint, the ones that want Bloodsport or that Jean-Claude Van Damme movie, Kumata, they want blood, and they're not going to get their blood here today because it's going to be nice and dry.
Yeah, good reference there, nice reference. But yeah, if we look at the strategies then for the drivers outside of the top 10. Scott Bugner and Chesney gone for the soft compound tyres. Actually a real split throughout the field. So Casper on the mediums, Charlie Harris on the softs, Nightshades on the mediums, Brewich on the softs, Venoms on the mediums, John Helge on the softs, and Chapelele at the back of the field on the medium. So it's a back and forth really on each row of the grid outside of the top 10. If you were outside of the top 10 on the grid yourself, what strategy would you go for?
Personally, my gut tells me mediums because it usually seems like the strategy, but I've always held to my gun on this. In a 50% race, I never do mediums outside the top 10 for one reason, because every time I put on a set of mediums, there's always a safety car within that window, and then you either have to go on a set of hards and be slow for the rest of the race, or you have to go on a set of softs and do an extra pit stop, and it just never pans out. So if I'm confident there's no safety car coming, I'll put on a set of mediums, but if I just knowing that my luck always seems to roll one safety car when I try it, it's just better to take on a set of softs and get the time, fresh time, and just be on strategy with everyone else ahead of you.
Yeah, definitely with a track like Canada, that is very possible. As one of the Ferraris actually has spun. That's Vettel that spun on the formation app, just to prove how difficult this track is. He spun on the formation app to the grid, so we'll wait and see what that does to his tyres. Maybe it might overheat his tyres just slightly. He should get away with it by the time they get to the grid, but especially a track like Canada, a safety car is very, very possible in these opening laps. So starting on the softs, like you say, outside the top 10 may actually be a bit of a blessing in disguise. The mediums could be a bit of a horror show if we do get an early safety car. Just before we head into this race, though, what's your prediction for a race winner? Who do you think stands out as the race winner?
I'm going to go Short. I think it's time for Short to get his first win. If he wants to make a threat in the championship standings, he needs to get a win, because not many drivers have won a championship by not winning a race. And he needs to prove that he wants to be championship material by winning a race.
Yeah, that is a good shout.
Other than that, if I had to throw something else there, I'll say Renault 2-3 on the podium, because I just feel like both Renault drivers have shown some pace. So I say Short, Young Power, Hercules, top 3.
That is a good prediction, actually. I was going to go for something quite similar. I'm going to go for Harry B, though, in third place. His race pace is very strong in AlphaTauri, so we'll see what he can do. M Short, like you say, does need his first win. He's very consistent so far, but hasn't been able to pick up the race victory, so we'll see what he can do here at round 4. We're getting ready, though, for the start of the race. Here come the lights then ahead of the drivers. Who's going to get the best start off the front row? It's a short run into turn 1, and it's Williams versus Renault. Lights are out and away they go. Who's got the best start off the line? It looks a fairly even start at the front of the field as they head in towards turn 1. And M Short, I think, has got a comfortable lead in towards turn 1. Heads into the lead into turn 2 as well, as Young Power holds on to second place. Hercules trying to look down the inside of Amazing Hour, but it's not quite far enough alongside to get the move done into turn 3. So it's
Linus is around.
One
of Merck's Venom is around. He tried to close the door on the AlphaTauri of Nightshade, and Nightshade was there, and Venom now has damage, and he's going to have to limp it around. Both him and the AlphaTauri both have damage.
As if this evening could not get any worse for Venom, starting 16th on the grid, and now at the back of the field with damage. There's a lot of chaos as well coming through turn 7. They're running 3 wide on the exit of the corner. That was Charlie Harris and Scott Bugner running side by side. I think Scott Bugner got a little bit caught up on the exit of the corner trying to get past Aldemar, and it didn't quite pay off for him, and he's again trying to get past Aldemar, runs to the back. Jirazi. Yeah.
Guinnessy missing one of his wings there. He did clip the wall going into the 8-9 complex.
Change for the lead. Young Power has gone for the move at turn 10. M Short, I don't know whether he's made a mistake somewhere, but a comfortable lead in the first sector. Young Power now side by side with M Short as they come down this back straight. They're using up a whole bunch of ERS. They're already halfway through their ERS, and M Short is just going to hold on to it into the chicane. It seems M Short has a slightly faster car in a straight line, but crucially, Young Power all over the back of the Williams driver.
100% here, and you can't go side by side through the chicane unless it's the last lap because it never will end out well. It'll end in bloodshed and tears. So you got to keep it clean. It looks like a couple drivers are pitting now because of fixed damage, including Venom, but Nightshade is going to limp around with a missing end plate along with Ganassi. So it's kind of interesting to see only one driver really feels like he needs to pit to fix his wing.
Yeah, like I say, Venom's then into the pits, and for a set of hard compound tyres, that is going to be horrible to drive around this circuit. We'll wait and see if anything works his favour in this race. Might get a late safety car that could bring him back into contention.
He didn't go for a set of softs because nobody's going to make it on the mediums, so why not go softs and then another set of mediums if you have a spare, but maybe he's already burned his mediums. But it just feels like, strategy-wise, just sitting on the hards only would make sense if you want to go to the end. But there's no way they're making it 33 laps unless I don't know something he does.
They might be able to get to the end of the race, but I tell you what, they're not going to have any raw speed compared to the other drivers on the field, so that is going to be very difficult. And I think Venoms has burnt through his set of mediums in qualifying, which is why he maybe hasn't gone for those medium compound tyres. At the moment, Jirazi in 7th place, having picked up that damage. There is a big split in the field at the moment. The top 6 have broken away from 7th place. Jirazi, who is holding Creaser up ever so slightly in that racing point, looking for a way through. Benny has caught the back of Harry 5.
Yep.
Top 6 now running line and cern, and Scott Bugner already with a time penalty.
I feel like that's going to be the first of many here because that's only lap 3. I hope we don't see a lot of cuts because this is a no-assist league, but I know for a fact in this league that and a lot of these games it's very easy to cut at Canada. So I feel like a lot of drivers are going to have 3s and 6s by the end of it. So keep the mental math at home, folks, because if you see someone leading the race, it may not last long depending on penalties. Yeah,
I'll be very shocked if really anyone gets through this race without a penalty. We'll wait and see. I think I'm going to have to tip my hat to anyone that goes through this race without a penalty. We'll wait and see. On to lap 3. DRS is now enabled, so we'll see what these drivers can do. The first DRS zone is down towards turn orthodox DRS zone. Not really an overtaking opportunity unless you're already basically alongside of them by the time you get out of turn 6. So we'll wait and see whether any of these guys can pull moves off through that straight, but no one so far.
I don't think that's going to happen because everyone's in a DRS train. I think Short's just far enough ahead, nothing will happen. But I do think we'll have capacity for 7th because there's a limping Alfa Romeo of Ganassi, and Kreis is going to have definitely a chance here being only 3 tenths behind.
Yeah, on the DRS. It's not using his DRS so interestingly down this first straight, maybe waiting for the pit straight, which is maybe a bit more of a stronger opportunity for an overtake because there is no DRS zone to follow suit afterwards. We'll wait and see whether he goes for the move, but Kreis a little bit cautious there through the chicane.
He didn't get a good exit there.
Yeah,
Chappelle gets another 3-second along with Kaiser, so already up to 3. And I just feel like by the end of this race, I know I was saying that, but I feel like on poll night and a political commentator on poll night, just reading off numbers and penalties and doing math and crunching things. Like, all right, is he gonna win? No, he's gonna win now. He's gonna win.
Yeah, definitely like an election like this is at the moment, isn't it? The amount of time penalties we are getting at the moment. One thing to note as well, while Jirazi is struggling a little bit in terms of Creaser, Vettel is not hanging on to these guys particularly well. He is still within DRS range, but he hasn't really got a lot of raw speed to hold on to the back of the 2 in front. So despite the damage for Jirazi, he's not under masses of pressure from everyone behind him. It's only really Creaser that's putting him under any sort of pressure at this point in the race.
Yellow flag sector 2, that is the, I think that is the Haas. The Haas lost the back end, looks like, and triggered. He's got a broken wing, but he'll still limp it around, so no safety car here.
Yeah, no safety car, but he has cut across their turn 9, I think, just missing a massive amount.
Oh, the Haas just gave the Red Bull the punt in 12th. Charlie Haas runs the back Excel, and they are dodgy. Elbows are out battling for the wooden spoon, so to speak, even though they're not fighting for points. This is very bloodbathy here. Yeah,
for Chapelele trying to be the lead. He is the lead of the medium runners at the moment as Creaser's got the moved on and Jirazi into the chicane, so Creaser up, but gets a time penalty to boot as well, so that is not going to play into his favour. Chapelele whacks the wall coming out of turn 14, trying to get the run on Zaldimer. Isn't going to be close enough in towards turn 1, but he is the lead medium runner at the moment. Despite the time penalty, that is one thing to look out for. He is the lead medium runner. But Jirazi has proven that damage has cost him a huge amount of time. We're only on lap 5. Look at the gap the top 6 already have to the rest of the field.
But it looks like there's a little bit of a split between top 3 of Short, Power, and Amazing, and then there's just a little bit of a buffer between Hercules, Harry, and Benny. So it's a situation where they're 2 trains, but those trains have a little bit of a gap. But it kind of reminds me, as Venom gets a time penalty here, it kind of reminds me of Russia or a Super Speedway NASCAR, so to speak, where there's just trains forming a packs, and you have to pick your spots and go when you feel like you're comfortable, or else you get cut out and lose your place in line.
Yeah, you really have to wait for the right moment in these kind of situations. You can't try and force the issue in the DRS zone, because overall, in terms of time, you are going to lose out massively if you break one of these DRS trains trying to battle someone else. So that's one thing to note. People are going to be sitting in DRS just waiting for the right opportunity. Maybe a pit stop or a mistake from a driver in front will be the best opportunities in these kind of situations for someone to go for a move. Amazing Hour looking strong at the moment, though. Look, we might be going for a move on Young Power into turn 1. Was on his DRS, but decided against going for the move, as we've already got pit stops. Benny, interestingly, from 6th place.
Pitting kind of early here. I think he maybe Benny and Grassi as well, but Grassi has damage. It makes sense he wants to get off the start as fast as possible to fix that wing. But I think Benny maybe trying to go for the undercut here, because the undercut is strong around Canada. It's shown to work. So him, Casper, and Benny all pitting maybe to try to undercut some of their field ahead, as we got a battle here between Chipetti and Vettel for P9 on the grid. And here comes Charlie, and they're going to make it 3 wide here. I hope we don't get shadebacks of a Stroll and Hartley, but it looks like everyone will keep it clean.
Yeah, good stuff there. Charlie Harris read that quite well, actually, and Vettel has dropped a number of places on this lap. He was battling with Scott Bogner into turn 1 and now has dropped from 7th all the way down to 11th. So Vettel on those soft compound tyres has got no pace at all. He's just dropping through the field at the moment, really struggling on those tyres. Oh, Charlie Harris had a massive moment.
He was fighting the back end during qualifying, so he's running a very low downforce setup here. Does not want much downforce, so it looks like he's really fighting that back end to keep it clean. Maybe those tires are falling off because they're only 5 laps old. But considering the fact that Benny and a few others have already pitted, maybe he's feeling the pressure of that back end.
Yeah, and interestingly, none of the top 5 deciding to react to that pit stop from Benny, so they've all stayed out for another lap, which is interesting to see. M-Short continues to lead.
Because maybe they're trying they want fresher tires at the end, but maybe if they gamble, they could try a one-stop. Because we know for a fact, all those runners that pitted Benny and Benny, Casper, Guriski, they're all going to have to come in again because they're on a set of mediums. There's no way they're stretching to the end. Vettel has come in actually now, so he's actually reacting to what they did. For the rest, maybe you're going to try to stretch it and try something different.
Yeah, maybe give themselves Young Power. Interesting, second place gets a time penalty now. First of our leaders to get a time penalty, so that is going to play massively in this race. An Amazing Hour has looked very strong so far in the early phases of this race. He's tucked right underneath the rear wing of that Renault, just can't get away through because of the DRS that Young Power has on M-Short at the moment. And like you say, these drivers in the top 5 maybe giving themselves the opportunity to try something different. If a one-stop is possible, then they can switch to it by staying out this little bit longer, but it is going to give Benny the possibility of an undercut if these guys don't come in for the next couple of laps or so. We'll wait and see what these drivers decide to do, whether they want the fresher tyres at the end and they're going to continue on a 2-stop, or whether they're going to try and stretch and do a 1-stop.
I think Kaiser will be the best strategy to see if that undercut does work, because something happened.
Yeah, Amazing
looks
Hour.
like Young Power's in.
Yeah, Amazing
Young
Hour
Power
as well.
and Amazing Hour both in, along with Harry. So it looks like 6. I feel like they could have made another lap or 2 on the softs, but I guess they did not feel comfortable. Short will stay out, but everyone else will come in. So right now, if you're short, you're a bit sweating, but this is now in lap time because you do not want to be out a lot longer.
Yeah, you really don't. As always, I think Young Power there might have been held quite heavily in the pit lane, or that might have just been a visual glitch on my end. He's actually okay. It's Harry B that's been held a bit in the pit lane. He's lost a bit of time as Benny fastest lap off the race. Is he going to beat all of them out?
He's going to beat a couple. Actually, he's going to be up to Amazing Hour, but he's just going to come out just behind Power. So if that is the power of the undercut around here, that is worth noting that I think Short may be in trouble when he pits.
He could possibly be, yeah. It was less than a second between the two of them. Benny jumping Amazing Hour and Harry B, then up to 6 to, at the moment, a net P3, because Hercules is still yet to come into the pit lane as well. So that is 3 places gained for Benny by coming in a couple laps earlier. Obviously, he will struggle a little bit in terms of tyre wear compared to these guys, but even so, only 2 laps. It's not going to make that major of a difference in this race. So we'll wait and see what he can do, especially considering the fact that Young Power now has a time penalty as well. So Benny actually could here possibly jump himself maybe into the net lead of this race.
Possibly. It will be interesting to see, depending on how he keeps it clean.
But
something we're noting is, no, he is. That is really risky, unless he wants to go on a set of hards. But that would be kind of interesting. Everyone else, because everyone else will have to pit again. Maybe he wants to try a one-stop. But his teammate Hercules is coming in, so that makes sense that he's coming in. But also, Excel is staying out as well, along with Chappelle. But Chappelle has 9 seconds worth of time penalty, so he's cutting up and running to lose by staying out. Got to try anything at this point. Yeah, but the other 2, you would think they'd try something.
Yeah, you think they would try to do something different, but M-Short in the lead of this race is a very risky strategy. I mean, Hercules out of the pit lane, still ahead of Harry B, but now quite a way off the back of Amazing Hour, 1.7 seconds, so he has lost.
Yeah, so he lost about a second. Yeah, he lost about a second to Amazing Hour, so if that's how much time was lost by 1 lap difference, how much is Short going to come out behind everyone else? Because it's not even like they're getting, like, there's no one in front of them. Like, Power and Benny all have open space to fight and just drive, so there's no real pressure from them battling. So if Short may want to come in sooner rather than later.
Yeah, he may, like you say, he may definitely want to, and especially with Young Power, when he's catching this traffic of Chapelele and Zaldam in front, Zaldam is going to be coming in the next couple of laps anyway, and Chapelele is going to be running around on his own, so you would imagine that he's going to be fairly easy meat for these drivers who are already a pit stop ahead of these
Short
two.
staying out again. That's very interesting.
It's definitely, I mean, at this point in the race, definitely
Yellow
going
flag
for
sector 2, Red Bull's
That's
around.
John.
That is John. Yep, John. He's faced the wrong way around. As I did see it in a CWC race where a driver did park it there and tried to fire it back up, and they did trigger a safety car, but it looks like they got it turned around relatively quickly, so no call for it as Hercules gets a 3-second time penalty. So both Renaults are in the naughty box.
Yeah, at the moment they're the ones in the top 6. It's Amazing Hour fastest lap of the race. Interestingly, a 10.9, a strong lap from Amazing Hour, who's tucked right underneath Benny. But all three of these drivers quite evenly matched at this point in the race in terms of Amazing Hour, Benny, and Young Power. And they have already pulled half a second on Hercules on that past lap as Chapelele picks up yet another penalty in this race. So he's at this point in the race, he's going to be nearing disqualification by the time we get to the end of this race.
30 is the limit. 30 is the limit, where at 27 is the last time they'll give you warnings, and if you hit 30, they will ring you up. But something worth noting right now is taking a look at the list. Short has no warnings right now, along with Burwich in the McLaren. So both drivers are currently free of penalties. So that's something, if you're a Renault driver right now and you are listening on this broadcast, that's something you don't want to hear, because they're a long way away from penalties, and right now that really favors Benny getting a good finish spot here.
It really does. Young
looks
Power,
like
meanwhile,
Young
going for the move
Power-
on Chapelele.
Yep, if I'm Benny right now, I'm hoping my teammate kind of holds him up a little bit longer than that, but it looks like Power's just going to be no match for Chapelle. And now Chapelle should probably just get out of the way of his teammate, because holding him up is not going to do anyone any good in the Constructors.
Yeah, definitely is. And Benny looking for a good result here, looking for his first podium of the season. You wouldn't imagine Chapelele is going to fight, and you can see he moves over to the left-hand side, and through goes Benny up into 4th place. But interestingly, Chapelele tucks back in front of Amazing Hour, so that could actually quite help the McLaren if Chapelele is able to break Amazing Hour away. Actually, as I say that,
well,
I think
mind.
Chapelele
Yes.
is moving out the way.
I think he's just kind of lost his pace here. It looks like he's just kind of sinking down the order like a stone. So he needs to, I think it's maybe time from the pit or come with something. But yeah, that was, the miracle run is over for him. And it looks like that as now Excel is also going to get passed by Young Power here. And he's going to fall in a second. And it looks like Benny has nowhere to go almost and has to back it down.
That was a very, very close. That was very close to a catastrophic accident there. Young Bao went for kind of a late move down the inside of 6. Fair enough. And Zaldama, I think, just had to kind of get out of the way on the exit of the corner because of that. And Benny got caught out by it. Benny now trying to get the move
Excel
on into
did clip
turn
the
10.
grass.
Whoa!
Oh, he's going very aggressive here, not wanting to make any chances here, making that pass now because he's got a rush, and that's also going to open the door for Amazing Hour. So I bet you Excel's not too thrilled about that, but Benny just makes his way through. And Excel's not going to fall to the P5, but that also helped Amazing Hour get by. And it looks like Amazing Hour could have a chance here to make a lunge.
He's having a look into the chicane. He runs into the back of the McLaren ever so slightly in the chicane, but he's not going to be able to go for the move, and I don't think he's going to be close enough in. So M Short has finally pitted.
All right, Short has pitted, and you can see all the time he's losing. 4, 5, 6. Going to pass by Harry. Looks like even Kaiser could be close.
Wow, yeah, come out in P8.
Kai's going to get by, and that will be that. So P7, and Grusi, the only reason why he didn't jump in because he had to fix his wing when pitting. So that is not good. And he's on a set of mediums, though. So mediums go about 20 laps. So he could maybe stretch it. If he is conservative on those mediums, he's not going to have to pit again. It's going to be close. But those mediums will be screaming because they can make it about 22 laps. But he's definitely going to be slower on the end of the race. But I think he can make it to the end, unlike everyone else that can't.
Yeah,
well, presumably when Excel pits, which I think he already has, so he can also make it to the end as well. But those two have no penalties, and if they can make it to the end, it's quite interesting to see.
Yeah, we'll see. I'm sure at this point the race has to go to the end of the race now. This strategy only pertains him to go to the end of the race from this point out. If he goes for a 2-stop here, he has just lost 5 places in terms of track position without really needing to do so. So we'll wait and see what he can do. He's already on the back of Creaser, going for that P7 place. And look at that, Creaser not putting up a fight into towards the chicane. I think recognising that this isn't his battle today, and I'm sure up into 7th place, already one move done.
Yep, Chapelle has come in, so he's the last one to pit, and now everyone has pitted at least once in this race. And Chapelle has decided to call it a day and take it behind the wall, so gets the sponsors some night-needed airtime, but that is not going to help McLaren and the Constructors. Yeah,
it really isn't at the moment. Benny, though, up in 2nd place. At the moment, Benny is our net race leader now. Yeah, everyone, like you said, has made their pit stop, so this is the genuine running order of the field at the moment, and Young Power leads the race. But Benny in behind him without a time penalty, looking comfortable at the moment, running 6th earlier on. An earlier pit stop has put him into the net lead of this race. Amazing Hour running in 3rd, once again running in the podium places. And these guys now have dropped Hercules and Harry B after slow pit stops for both drivers. Harry B a slow pit stop and Hercules pitting a lap later has dropped them out of DRS range, and you can already see that dropping outside of DRS range really costs you around here because they're just continuing to hemorrhage time.
100%. It's just like being out of the pack. I know I keep bringing this reference, but I'm an American, so NASCAR is on the brain. But yeah, like a super speedway where if you lose the draft, you're done. And that's what DRS here is the case. Unless you're very fast and the drivers ahead of you are very slow, once you lose that DRS, it's game over for you to stay with that pack. It's a very needed necessity.
Yeah, I think at this point in the race, Hercules is probably hoping that the top three are all running Rick Ware cars, I would probably say at this point. But he's running in
Rick
P4.
Ware cars.
Running in P4 at the moment. Harry running in P5, doing a solid job. And M Short starting to close his guys in a little bit now. He's past Grease and it's already nearly 2 seconds clear. So he's got decent pace on these medium compound tyres. But he can't really use this pace. If he wants to get these tyres to the end of the race, he can't push too hard. You've got to say, on raw speed alone, M Short has been the fastest person here tonight. But he's now put himself in a strategy where he can't really use that raw speed.
But here's the thing, though: if there's a safety car, he is DOA because he's gonna have to pit with Harry, Hercules, Amazing Hour. And speaking of that, yellow flag sector 3, but he's retired in the pit lane. So I was worried for a second we may have just had a safety car. I may have just spoke of the devil. But that is not what's happened. But back to Short, it's a situation where he can make a 20 if he pushes a little bit. But the situation on cards is that if there's a safety car, he's not going to be looking good because everyone else ahead of him will pit, and then he's going to have to pit as well because he'll just be a sitting duck, so to speak, from everyone else ahead of him.
Yeah, he will be sitting down, like you say. He's putting himself in a risky situation here. So I think every time a yellow flag comes out, he's probably right on the edge of his seat thinking whether that's in the pit lane or whether that is somewhere on the track. That was in the pit lane. That's Venom's then out of the race. He's called it quits after what has been a torrid night so far from the second Mercedes driver. Winner of the first race of the season. For the third race in a row is not going to be scoring any points, unfortunately. So his championship has fallen apart. Further down, Scott Bogner's gone for the move on Charlie Harrison. Is up into P9.
P9, but I think Charlie's going to have an answer back here. Scott goes a little bit wide into the wall champions there. It's going to leave an opportunity for him to make a pass here. Vettel could also pick up the scraps here and see what happens here. Charlie going to try to take the inside here. They're going to be side by side. Harris is still trying to hang it. The outside's probably stronger here because of the understeer. Harris and Scott Berger are side by side going through this next corner here, which is not something you want to see. This is for 9th and 10th. Haas will get through and Berger will back it down a little bit too much, and that's going to stack up Vettel.
Yeah, and that has given Charlie Harris a 9/10 gap, which is exactly what he needs. As Young Power with another
Power gets
penalty.
Us now up to 6. He's now up to 6. That is really going to throw a monkey wrench in. As we got a pass possible for third here, as we got a chance to meet Benny, an Amazing Hour here. Amazing Hour going to try to take it up the inside here, and he's going to make the pass work. Caught Benny maybe napping a little bit. So I was going to bring it up a lap or two ago. If you were Benny, how conservative do you take this? Because now that Power has 6 seconds, do you just kind of like keep the distance and just make sure you stay close? Because if he lets Hour go by, then Hour will take the lead and win this race on merit, or at least time penalties. So there's a risk-reward situation. How aggressive do you fight Power to keep Hour behind?
And I think at this point in the race, the problem for Benny here is I don't think he really has the raw speed or the ERS to put up a battle. He's running very low on ERS in comparison to Amazing Hour, and he had just dropped out of DRS finished Young Power on that lap as well. So I think Benny starting to feel the effects of maybe his tyres being a little bit older than the drivers around him, struggling a bit for raw speed.
Yeah, 100%. He did do the undercut, and that's a 2-lap difference, and it's just going to be kind of interesting to note that he's going to hang on. Now, something worth noting is Short did set the fast lap race, and now he's caught up to the back of Harry and Hercules. If he can get by both these drivers kind of quickly, I think the net strategy can really kind of let loose now, because even if if a safety car does come out, he'll only be behind Benny and Hour, and that is a much easier fight to make than fighting behind 5 cars instead of 3.
Yeah, definitely going to be a much easier task for it. And M Short, he was about 7 or so seconds off the back of Young Power after he'd made that pit stop. He has nearly halved that gap at this point in the race. It's come down to about 4.5, I think about 5 seconds. Ooh.
Vettel got very loose there. Like, everyone seems like 8, 9, 10. They're fighting for very few points, but they are really pushing it, and it's good to see because sometimes you get like a lull when you're fighting in 10th or 9th where it's like, oh, we're only fighting for a point, but points do matter regardless.
And Vettel again there through turn 11, just getting on the grass on the inside of turn 11, loses the rear of the car, gets away with it, but Vettel so far today has been a little bit all over the place. As Scott Bugner again, I think, thinking of a move into the chicane. You can tell Scott Bugner's got the raw speed over Charlie Harris, but the problem is that every time that Scott has seemingly gone for a move, Charlie's been able to immediately repass him.
Yeah, it's a situation where I've seen it happen before, and I can't remember the track in question. I feel like I should, but it's a situation. Oh, I remember. It's it's at Italy, last corner, and it's a situation where it was the F2 race, and the drivers would pass him going to the corner. I think it was a Nelly. They pass him, and then Nelly would just pass him right back on the straight using DRS. So they have to be patient and make the pass where it's comfortable, because if you make a pass for a DRS straight, he'll just get you back on the DRS straight.
Yeah, exactly, and it's very easy to get someone back around this circuit, especially with the 2 DRS straights in tandem with one another. So we've got yellow flag.
Sector 1.
That's
I think
Casper.
Casper a little bit slow here.
He's lost his
front
wing.
Casper or the Red Bull? Oh, he has. You are correct. Oh. He's lost it all.
Yeah, I think he's hit the wall coming out of turn 4 by the looks of things and is completely lost his front wing, unfortunately. So that is him now in 13th place. Without the front wing, he's going to have to pit for the second time in this race. The other person, by the way, that's going, I think, for this one-stop strategy is XL Zadama, currently 12th on the grid, 4 seconds behind the drivers in front. Yet to pick up a penalty, so that is good for him in his race. But at the moment, he's not quite got the same speed. That's early pit stop for him.
And he was on a set of softs, though, so he actually went soft, so he's going soft, medium. Interesting to note.
Gone for something a little bit different.
Doing some quick calculations here, we'll see where XL definitely passed Kaiser, but if we do some quick calculations here, a pit stop delta is about 18 seconds. So I think if Zelx plays his cards right, he'll definitely get up to currently P, right behind Short would be where he would cycle out, but I don't think he'll go any farther. But actually, well, maybe he'll actually cycle up pretty higher than the thing, because Charlie Harris gets a 3-second time penalty. Yeah,
possibly. He could probably come out when they pit around Hercules and Harry B, I think, when they pit into this race. But obviously, Hercules and Harry B will be on a fresh set of medium compound tyres, so they should have the raw speed over Zaldama. But Zaldama here staring at a possible P7 finish, a pretty comfortable P7 finish maybe in this race, if he can get some more speed out of those tyres.
Consider the fact he started P12. That is an example I was talking about during the early broadcast where a strategy of a one-stop could work if you're very far back in the grid. Why not try something to get some points? And if it does work out, obviously knock on wood. But usually when I knock on wood, it usually jinxes them. So maybe I shouldn't have done that. But, he locked up hard there in those mediums. So maybe just penny spotted him. But regardless, it's looking good right now. But let's not counter chickens before they hatch.
Yeah, exactly. We're only just past the halfway point in this race, so anything can still happen. Jurassic, meanwhile, in P7 at the moment, running on his own, has recovered pretty well, having picked up damage in the first stint of the race. P7, 10.5 seconds off the back of M Short, nearly 5 seconds clear now of this battle between Charlie Harris and Scott Bugner. So running a little bit on his own at the moment in 7th place, but still doing a decent job and a good recovery, considering he's on the oldest set of medium compound tyres on the grid, apart from Brewich and Benny at the moment.
That's a safety car. Kasper has crashed. That is a safety car.
Wow, so that is coming out of turn 7, I believe. He's lost the car on a set of hard compound tyres. Now what do people do? Into the pit lane comes John. He's the first driver into the pits. He's at the back of the field at the moment. He was the first one in, and I think we've got Brewich into the pit lane as well, I believe. Yeah, he's in from 13th place. Now what do the leaders do at this point? Obviously the leaders are going to have to come in.
Yeah, you can't go on a set of softs because that would, if you come, safety car will come on lap 21. That will be about, doing some quick math, that's 14 laps. There's no way to softs will make it 14 laps unless you really want to be limping around at the last end. So they're going to have to come for a set of mediums. And the question is how many, because they're already on a set of mediums. Hopefully they got one set left. But that's really going to affect Short because Short was probably hoping that could come out just a bit later if it was going to come out. But Young Power gets 5 seconds for speeding in the pit lane. To add insult to injury, he has 6. Now he's up to 11. So any chance of him winning this race is done. And now it's going to be a battle of pit stops. How can Benny jump Amazing Hour? It looks like actually Amazing Hour is going on a set of hards.
That is a very bold shot. I think surely that is a mistake. Only 15 laps left in this race.
Everyone else is going on a set of mediums currently that came to pit lane, so Amazing Hour may have just bungled this, or again, maybe he doesn't think the mediums will make it 15 laps. But I'm confident, knowing all the races I've done so far at Canada, I think I know what I'm talking about. And I think the mediums are going to make it 15 laps. So I think that was a mistake, but Short staying out, that's something else worth noting. So he's sticking to this strategy.
So 8-lapped older tyres than the drivers around him. At least the good thing at the moment for M Short is the person directly behind him on the road is Young Power, who has 11 seconds of penalty. So Young Power is pretty much out of the battle for the podium at this point in the race. And Amazing I was also on the hards. So actually, M Short might be in a good position. Yeah.
But the question is how, because Benny's got some good pace, but I don't think he's got as much raw pace as Short does. Harry as well. So right now, Short is probably faster than Power, because Power, he doesn't have to worry about Power getting behind. Power can get 10 seconds up the road and he'll be fine. And then Amazing Hour will be as well kind of an interesting question mark. And I think if we look in the comments here, someone is saying that he made this race very interesting indeed. And that is the case because hopefully he didn't pull a Hamilton 2015 Monaco.
Yeah, possible.
2016, my mistake.
It is very possible. But I tell you what, the person that's technically on the best strategy now in this race is in 4th, which I find very interesting. So that is going to be one thing to look out for in this race. By the way, in the pit lane, Hercules has lost even more time now. He's now been held up and has dropped behind Harry B in the pit lane. So if it couldn't get any worse for the Renault drivers, that's Hercules down another place.
They had a pit, but the thing that stinks is that the guy that got the priority pit stop was the guy that had the 11-second time penalty. It should have been probably the other way around, but nothing you can do about it because it's his track position.
Yeah, just exactly like you say, Hercules cost himself the track position earlier on in this race with the later pit stop, and that has just compounded the issue in the second pit stop in this race. Zaldimer then up to 7th place, but his tyres 9 laps old, so they're going to be very, very old at this point in the race. He's done the same thing as M Short.
I'm hearing in my earpiece here that there's a possibility that M Short has no mediums left, so he probably didn't pit because he couldn't have did it. Now, that's according to the chat, so I have no clue if that is 100% how accurate that is, but if that is true, kind of explains why he didn't pit. Maybe that's also why Amazing Hour put on a set of hards, because he doesn't have any mediums left.
That is very possible, yeah, that is maybe the case then. That Amazing Hour, maybe he'd even recognise that he didn't have a set of medium compound tyres left and it's put him on the hards, because if you were in Amazing Hour's position, I think, honestly, going for the softs at this point in the race would probably be a better bet, because while they might struggle at the end of the race, they have a lot more raw speed than the hard compound tyres do. I mean, we've already seen that Casper crashed out of the race on the hards, and Venoms was struggling at the back of the field on a set of hard compound tyres, so they've not got a lot of raw speed. Amazing Hour does have great speed in terms of actual raw talent, but can that raw speed really compensate for the hard compound tyres?
I think he's just banking on his pace here. That would be my guess. He's just feeling confident enough in his speed of his car. And I think unless they decide maybe one more lap here in safety car, depending on how fast, if they decide to go without Bree Witch, Nightshade, and John. But usually they like to get the whole field all bunched up, so they maybe one more lap on a safety car. And I think that is the case, because safety car would have drove away right there. So we have one more lap, which is going to help Short and Benny. It's going to help Short definitely. It's also going to help Benny and Power.
Yeah. Definitely going to help them a lot. The less time that we have racing under green flag conditions, the more it hurts Amazing Hour in this race. The more it hurts Young Power as well, you've got to say, because it's just allowing the field to keep closer together for a longer period of time. So you could end up dropping more places if they fail, if the safety car keeps going. Obviously, the other three at the back of the field have now caught the back of the queue, so the safety car should be coming in at the end of this lap, and we 100%. Will get 13 laps of green flag racing left in this race, so still a decent amount of time for anything to happen. Further down, like I said, Zaldimer in 7th place, running the same strategy as M-Short. Bottom for him is Jirazi right behind him on the road. Probably is maybe a bit faster on raw speed, has fresh set of medium compound tyres and no penalties, so now Jirazi here could be staring at a possible top 5 finish.
Taking a look at the quick, that is true, but taking a look at the incident report here, both Short and Benny both have are 1 warning away from 3-second time penalties. And if I take a look at Amazing Hour as well, because I'm just doing this because it is worth noting, I think he doesn't have any. I'm just going to make a quick check. No, he's got 2 as well. So everyone in that top 5 has 2 warnings already. Amazing Hour, Benny, and Short. So it could be an equalizer here that if you can keep it clean, you could obviously do better, but how clean do you want to take it to keep away from 3 seconds? Because if you go too slow, you'll be under pressure from the drivers behind.
Yeah, they're all in very different situations now. With Amazing Hour on a harder compound tyre, it's going to be hard for him to maybe keep that car on the road in the early phases of the safety car restart. M-Short on older mediums, it's going to be difficult towards the end of the race to keep that car on the road. And the likes of Benny and Harry B are going to be pushing quite hard.
Nope. Harry also has 2 as well. So yeah, everyone in that top 5 does have 2 warnings. So it's just risky. If you can keep it clean for the next 13 laps, you may win this race because of how bunched up the field is.
Yeah, and like we said at the start of this race, the penalties could play a massive part. It already has, and it could continue to play a massive part. But we're getting ready then for the restart of this race. M-Short leading the way, but he has only made 1 stop in this race. He's gone for that 1-stop strategy. Everyone else, apart from Zaldimer, has gone for 2 stops. So we'll wait and see how this one plays out. M-Short's going to wait until the final chicane to go. Is he going to go after the chicane? He is. Going to go straight after the chicane, and Young Power has read that beautifully. Young Power tucked right underneath the rear wing of M-Short, heading in towards turn 1. Is Young Power going to go for the move? He's not quite close enough. Meanwhile, Benny's trying to go for the move down the inside of us. Young Power around the outside of turn 2. He's got a great run around the outside of turn 2. Can he get the run up towards turn 3? He's going to look to the outside. This is going to be a brave move. If he can pull it off, he's going to stick down, and M-Short runs him completely out of road. And that is Young Power staying in second.
Yeah, you cannot go side by side to that corner there, and I was kind of worried. So remember, oh, never mind. Here comes Young Power on the inside. Short probably should just let him go with 11 seconds worth of time, but there's no reason to fight him. And here comes the Mercedes of Amazing Hour and Benny as well. This is where he did not want to happen, because now both of them have fresh tires, and if they pass him, that's for de facto position.
That is the de facto position. Can
Short
Benny get
got a time penalty too.
Just to compound the issues.
Injury. Yeah, now he's going to fall down the order because of that. And now here comes Amazing Hour.
Around the outside, it's now a battle at this point in the race between Amazing Hour and Benny for the win here. As M-Short
he's going to try to capitalize here. 3 wide. Oh, Amazing Hour kind of gave it a little shunt to Short, and Benny had nowhere to go, so Benny's going to have to tuck behind. You can see the light blinking on a Short. Looks like Short used all his ERS to try to stay ahead, or at the very least, what he can for this 1 lap. And they're both going to go side by side here, and the McLaren is going to make the pass on the Williams. 2 and 3. That is gone Calamity Hour. Oh, Harry as well.
Yeah, Harry now coming to the inside. Yeah, M-Short's plummeting through the field. The pace on these mediums has gone. He's used all of his ERS, trying to get these moves done as well, trying to hold on to the moves. He continues to fall. Jurassic as well. My word, M-Short has plummeted first to 6th in a lap. Jurassic looking down the inside. There's not enough room, though, to go for that. M-Short holds 6th for the time being. But that is flipped this race completely on its head now. Amazing Hour is our de facto race leader, but Benny and Harry B, with no penalties on fresher mediums from behind them on the road. Now Benny has got to get this moved on Amazing Hour as quickly as he can.
That is 100% indeed. Short was falling down faster than a mobster with cement shoes in a lake. But it's
now
worth noting.
Benny with a penalty.
Oh, Benny's got 3 as well. So now Harry's looking good. Like I said, they all had 2 warnings. So Amazing Hour and Harry are both still getting the good right now. But if you're Harry, you may want to take it conservatively because you just saw Benny get one. Amazing Hour is going to try to fight for his life to keep that position because now on the set of hards, he's going to have to fight. So if you're Harry now, kind of tuck behind. Use the DRS. Play it conservatively. I know it's not the nicest way to win. It's like bunting the score run in baseball. But it's a situation where you just want to stay and make sure you win. It looks like the Renault has ditched the corner there, knowing he couldn't make it. Power sets the fast lap of the race, and Short's going to get the spot back on Hercules.
Yeah, Hercules, they're missing the chicane. I think just a lock up into the corner, had to skip the chicane. Gets away with no penalty, but it is down to 6th. Short's back up to 5th place. Jirazi now is possibly staring at a podium because of all the penalties of the drivers in front. Having picked up damage in the early part of this race, has been running on his own since then. So Jirazi, by keeping it clean, could have a major part to play in this race later on. At the front of the field, Young Power leads now by 3 seconds. Just goes to show the pace that Young Power has and the lack of pace that Amazing Hour seemingly has. Benny now in DRS range does have a penalty, so if he can get this move done, that still could play crucial for his race because Harry B and Amazing Hour, like you say, are still very close to getting penalties themselves. So Benny would want to get track position here over Amazing Hour, just in case Amazing Hour does get that penalty at some point in the latter stages.
Sector 2, Sector 3,
that's
I think that's the Haas.
It's Creaser in the racing point.
Yep. Looks like he's still got some wing damage. He's still good to go. There's no real risk here because another safety car would definitely make things very interesting indeed. Everyone would come in on a set of softs. But, yeah, Amazing. Right now, Benny's main goal right now is to make a pass here. It looks like he's going to try it, but he's just going to tuck in behind. But Amazing Hour locks up. And he shunts Amazing Hour, and Amazing Hour gets a 3-second time penalty.
That is crucial. Benny tried to move down the inside of the chicane. Amazing Hour brake late to avoid Benny diving him, and ended up missing the corner. And a full safety car.
That's a safety car. Right now, Harry is smiling ear to ear like the cat that ate the canary. He's now in P2, and he's going to have the opportunity to pit for a set of softs. Young Power is probably fuming right now because he was 4 seconds clear, and there's no way he's going to be able to get 11 seconds in 10 laps. So he's basically out of it. Amazing Hour is going to get a chance to get off these softs, though, so Amazing Hour may also be kind of happy about it. Short's going to get a re-chance here because now he can pit for a set of softs and is now in P4. Hercules also going to get the pit for a set of softs, so a lot of drivers there are okay with this because Amazing Hour can get off those tires. Harry is now got no penalties and is leading the way, and Short is recovered and can get off those old mediums.
If you dropped off this stream about 10 laps ago and then jumped back in and seen the order now, you would not believe we're in the same race. This is absolutely crazy stuff in these last few laps.
Mazda 2020 where Hamilton got that penalty and you're like, oh wait, Gasly's leading? Wait, what?
It is like that at the moment. Now we have a AlphaTauri net leading this race. The problem as well for Young Power, if he comes into the pit lane, he has to serve that 5 seconds, so he's going to get held in his pit box, so that will just compound the issue.
So does Hercules stay out and just try to wing it?
We'll have to wait and see. Young Power staying out on the track, so Young Power deciding not to come in. Does Harry B come into the pit lane? No, he doesn't.
Oh, Amazing Hour makes sense. Oh, it looks like we got a split here. It looks like Benny has to pit, obviously, but it looks like a weird split here. So it looks like, it's interesting because it looks like everyone else behind, like only the top 4 stayed out. Then everyone else decided to pit. I'm sorry, Vettel did stay out as well, and Nightshade. So top 6 are staying out. 7th on down are pitting. And it looks like, I think actually, if I'm not mistaken, Amazing Hour had a pit for damage. Yeah. So Amazing Hour is going to come out behind Short. So Short's going to take the lead back, and he's going to be on the fresh tires. But now he's going to have to work his way through 6th, 5th, 4th, 3rd, 2nd, and 1st, all with Harry and Guinnessy, or Jurassic, my mistake, having no time penalties.
Yeah, it's going to be really difficult now for him, Short, but he is in the best position to try and reclaim this lead now. The lead person on the soft tyres, Charlie Harris, has ended up in 8th place now. Amazing Hour.
He's actually made that work. Yeah. That's actually kind of interesting, because how he was battling 8th, 9th. Now he's ahead of Amazing Hour. Amazing Hour, Berger, Excel is actually pitted again. He's got no time penalties as well, so if he can stay close, this is really going to come down to the wire.
Yeah, it really is, and we've not got a lot of time left in this race. We're still going to have to wait for John to catch up to the back of the safety car queue, so we're at least going to get another lap here under the safety car.
Is it me, or is it getting darker? I'm not enough it's going to rain, but it is getting darker. Is it finally going to rain? 3 weeks in a row, I brought my umbrella to the Canada track, and it's not rain. Will we finally get something?
I've got all my fingers and all my toes crossed that we could get rain at the end of this race. And if we do get rain, and it's not enough maybe for the intermediate tyres, it could suit the soft runners because they will have, obviously, the softer compound, more grip in the tricky conditions, so that could only benefit the softer runners. Young Power then leads this race. Harry B in 2nd without a penalty. Hercules in 3rd. Jirazi now up to 4th without a penalty, so he's our net P2 in this race. So he is throwing himself into the ring by keeping it clean and staying out on the track at the moment. But now we've got all these soft runners tucked up behind these guys on the road. Amazing Hour, by the way, he did pick up that damage when Benny ran into the back of him. It kind of bumped Amazing Hour into the wall on the exit turn 14. That's
and they gave him a penalty for that too, which is kind of upsetting. I think he maybe wanted, if he was complaining, if he doesn't get a good finisher, he may try to throw that out. That penalty was bogus, because what was I supposed to do to avoid that? So the stewards may have a look at that, but it's still worth noting. But also something else, Guernsey also has 2 warnings as well. So it's a risk-reward situation. If you're Harry or Guernsey, how conservative do you take these next couple laps? Because Power, you don't have to worry about. Power's got 11 seconds. Hercules has 3, Vettel has 3, Nightshade has 3, 6. Then Short, who's the first one of the runners of new softs, are on 3, and he's going to have to work his way through the field quickly. Harris has 3, Amazing Hour has 3, and that's probably the last you have to worry about. So how conservative do you take these next laps? Because if you take it too conservative, you may get swallowed. But if you push too hard, you may get a 3-second time penalty and then have to fight for realsies around everyone else.
Yeah, it's a real balancing act, isn't it? These last 2 laps. The safety car is going to be in at the end of this lap, so we will get 7 laps of green flag racing now towards the end of this race to finish off what has been a crazy Canadian GP so far. I don't think the winner's stayed. Our prediction for the winner, I don't think has stayed the same for 3 laps in a row. It's changed every single time that something has happened in this race. This race keeps flipping on its head, and we've got yet another twist in this race yet to see. So we'll see how this final safety restart goes. Young Power a lot slower down this backstretch than M Short was. M Short went straight after the chicane.
Harry.
Young Power read it beautifully. Young Power's already gone.
Oh, Harry goes. Power's gone. Harry got caught napping. Hercules is going to have a chance here. Looks like the Reynolds were kind of working together here, because if you're Young Power, your main goal may be to back Harry into Hercules and then let Hercules go. Because you got nothing to lose here. You're going to fall down outside the points most likely. Scott gets another time penalty. So, again, will Power play the game and maybe help his teammate, or will it be every man for themselves?
We'll have to wait and see. As actually Jurassic there was quite close to running into the back of Hercules through turn 2. It is clouding over quite heavily here at the moment, so maybe the track temperature going down a little bit is only going to...
Oh, short around. Short pound Nightshade. Sorry to cut you off, but Short has already made it up to P6. Next up on Vettel, he's made that work. Charlie Harris has got around Nightshade as well, so Nightshade is already getting split by everyone on the soft runners, and that's a sale, though. That's something worth noting. How quickly will they get past the next one?
How quickly can they make these moves stick? Already M Short onto the back of Vettel as well, so the soft tyres looking very strong after this safety car restart. Young Power has already broken DRS range then to Harry B. It's 1.3 seconds. Hercules is not quite close enough to challenge the AlphaTauri at the moment, so Harry B is still sitting comfortable in that second place. But M Short is probably his biggest threat at this point in the race. M Short nearly into the back of Vettel there.
M Short's definitely going to get past him right now quickly. M Short's definitely going to get past Vettel here. He's going to use all his ERS, everything he's got in the tank. He's going to try something, because he's running out of time. Oh, 6 to go. Safety car! What? A safety car has been called for the Red Bull of OWR. Looks like he was slow off the pace. They decided to ring it up here. Cody's, you threw one a little too quickly there. So we're going to have 5 laps to go. Yeah. All right.
Well, another safety car in this race then. So 3 safety cars in a row, and we've just had, I don't think Nightshades has just held on to that 9th place. I think Scott Bugler nearly overtook Nightshades under the safety car then, but another late safety car for seemingly no reason, it seems. So that's kind of put pay to M Short's charge a little bit.
Well, that's like a lead balloon, the air getting let out of a lead balloon there. That actually kind of stinks, because we were looking like we had a nice battle here. But now, the thing is, they're going to go at a slower pace, so if rain was in the forecast, or was coming, this is going to slow down the field's pace, so there's a chance it may hit, if it is going to hit.
I mean, look how quickly it has clouded over. That sun has completely gone now. In the last couple of laps, it has clouded over. So, I mean, it's not out of the question. We could get some rain to finish off what has already been a crazy race. That could throw it on its head as John picks up a time penalty behind the safety car. He is running a lap down at the moment, but still going, so he will still score points in that 14th place. So it's good to see him still going in this race.
How quickly can, the question is, with the remaining time left, how quickly can Short get quickly up to the field? Because he's now ran out of time, and it's a situation where it's going to help Harry and Jurassic, because now less time to make a mistake, but it's also going to allow Short ability to recharge the battery. But we'll have 2 laps worth of DRS?
I think so.
If my math is correct? 2 or 3, give or take, depending on if the safety car comes in. It's not coming in this lap, but it most likely will come in next lap.
Yeah, I imagine it will come in next lap, so we'll get 34 and 35 with some DRS if we get going at the end of the next lap, so we'll wait and see. But, like I say, this has helped a number of drivers. I've got to say this probably favours Harry B more than anything else, though. The fact that this
Area and Jurassic.
Yeah. definitely, because M-Short now, his run of maybe going for a move on Vettel was cut short by that safety car. Gives him less time to make this overtake sticks, and while maybe he does have the ERS back up to speed now as well, he still would have had the tyre grip anyway, probably even without the ERS, to make the move stick. So those laps have been taken away from him. Charlie Harris as well, a shame from him, owning up in 7th place, holding on to that place ahead of Amazing Hour. So at the moment, Charlie Harris still looking on to maybe beat Amazing Hour in this race if he can hold on to that 7th place. And Zaldimer, if it stays this close, could gain maybe 6 or so positions in this race on penalties alone if it stays this close towards the end. So
yeah, that's actually gonna help him as well, like, because straight up, because he's definitely gonna jump a lot of it. So he's actually hoping to get one more. He's better hoping that he'll get another VSC or something. Maybe just end it under safety car conditions. He'd be thrilled. He'd get a podium. But sadly, that's not how this game works.
It's definitely not out of the question though that Zaldimer at this point in the race would gain on everyone up to 5th, and he will gain on Young Power, because Young Power still has 11 seconds. I think Hercules only has the 1 penalty, if I remember correctly. He does.
Yeah.
So I don't think he would gain on Hercules, but he'd probably gain on everyone but Hercules, which would put him in P4.
And that's something, especially considering that how he started in 11th. That would be really a great points haul today. I would not be shocked safety cars coming in this lap, considering how badly Young Power's backing up the field here. Like, he's not even on the back of that safety car. So he's really taking this conservatively. Yeah, unless the thing flashed up and I didn't see it.
I didn't see it flash up either, but actually it's not. The safety car, the lights are still on top of the safety car. So I'll tell you what's happened there. Young Power's backed off the safety car so much that it's actually triggered the safety car to stay out.
That's something you can do. Okay, interesting.
Note to anyone that wants to use that in future races that is a possibility. If you back off enough, the safety car will be triggered to stay out, which actually helps Harry B and Jurassic even more in this race, because we now head onto lap 32, still yet to go racing again. So that means that there's a possibility. I say that there's a possibility we could get to the end of this race without any DRS.
Yeah, I feel like that would be there'll be a new rule in the book called the Young Power rule after this race. If something bad happens, congratulations, Young Power, you got your own rule in the rule book. First season. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Yeah, we'll have to put that in the League Racing TV rulebook for years to come, that you can't do the Young Power rule of backing off and keeping the safety car out, because while that's kept the safety car out, that's the person that's probably hurt the most is Young Power, because now he has less time to pull away from the rest of the field and try and gain places back.
I think he's made his bet, he's lied, and he knows he's done for. So he's like, screw it. He's going to play team game here. I expect on this restart he's going to back up Harry as much as he can, and he's going to try to allow Hercules to go, and he's going to play a loyal foot soldier. Try to make Harry and Jurassic's life a living metaphorical HE double hockey sticks. I don't know if I can say the place down there on air, but it's worth noting that he's going to try to back him up, and he's then going to just try to let Hercules get the win. That would, I assume, his plan.
Yeah, like you say, that probably is the best thing that Renault can really hope for at this point. Young Power is staying a lot closer to the safety car. So actually, as I say that, he's backed off again. So is the safety car going to stay out for another lap because of this?
If he does it,
no, it's not.
Now it's in. Okay, now it's in. So maybe it was supposed to do 2 laps, and it just was a situation where he backed up enough to give it an extra lap. So yeah, we will have 33. So we may have barely any DRS on 35. So you're going to have raw pace, and that's really going to hurt Short, because it's not impossible to pass around here, but it isn't easy.
Yeah, definitely isn't easy. There's not a lot of heavy braking zones around this circuit to make the move stick.
Also, consider the fact everyone has ERS saved up to 100 now, so even that's the case, everyone's going to burn their ERS like it's no one's business.
And Young Power's
going right now, so any plan of him maybe backing up Harry did not work, so it looks like Hercules is in his own world, but Jurassic kind of caught napping. Same thing with Vettel. So Vettel's almost 3 off Guinnessy, so Hercules could actually do well here because of that. It looks like Vettel may have helped Hercules low-key.
Yeah, might have actually been able to do that as we get going once again then. So we are on to lap 33 of this race, 3 laps to go, and Scott Bugner going for the move on Nightshades down in towards turn 1, has got that move done. He's up into 9th place, but Scott Bugner just have an abundance of penalties in this race, so he's going to drop towards the back of the field as this race goes on. I'm sure not quite able to get the move done on Vettel, who was probably the slowest to react to that safety car restart. Is 1.5 seconds off the back of Jurassic in front. Young Power then leads the way. Harry B in second, already 1.6 seconds behind Young Power. So Young Power's raw speed is phenomenal on these medium compound tyres. It's just those penalties holding him back. Hercules in third, Jurassic up behind him in fourth, still in position to pick up P2 in this race. Vettel fifth, M Short sixth. Has got move.
Jurassic, well, speaking of that, never mind. Jurassic is done.
Yeah, just
so he's now going to be P4, so that's what Harry has to worry about. Actually, Harry doesn't have to worry about it. As long as he can hold up Hercules, Harry doesn't have to worry about getting a 3 second. So, never mind.
Never mind.
Amazing Hour got past Bergner for 8th, but Charlie Short has not made quick work of Vettel like he probably wants to. He's going to have to make the move now quickly as possible if he wants to recover anything. But
Vettel
Yeah, he's not
defending the
gonna
position.
How aggressive will he try here in the chicane? No, he will back it off. So, case of where he probably wanted DRS, but no DRS for him. Vettel's at 50 DRS, while Short is at like 30. So Short is really using all his DRS he's got left to try to make something happen. Harry has gotten a DRS range of Hercules, and Hercules is under pressure from Grindacy or Jurassic. Something.
Yeah, Jurassic at the moment then, P4. I think it will be on for a P3 in this race. I don't think Zaldiman's close enough to gain the penalties back on these drivers, on a lot of these drivers in front now because of that slow safety car restart actually. That's actually held Zaldima up quite a bit in this race.
Oh, Short tried something there and he can't make it work. He tried as hard as he could to try to make that corner work.
Charlie
Harris next man up.
He's come alive on these soft compact tyres. I tell you what, Charlie Harris holding on ahead of Amazing Hour and is now tucked right underneath M-Short. Is Charlie Harris maybe going to sneak a move here on M-Short or maybe be the lead soft run? He's got a great run out towards turn 10, but he's decided against going for the move. M-Short maybe going to go for the move at turn 10 here down the inside, not close enough. Vettel parks it in the middle of the road, holds on to the line. But again, with no DRS, M-Short just doesn't seem to have the straight line speed to challenge.
Nope, especially because it probably fuel as well. Probably because again, Vettel has 40-something ERS, while Short only has 20. So Short was really pushing as much as he can, and that last safety car really shanked him. Because if not, he definitely would have got around Vettel quicker, and I think he'd be on Harry right now. But DRS has now been enabled. We're on the last lap. Power's definitely not going to get 11 seconds clear unless Harry and the rest of the field spontaneously combusts. So Harry is winning this race, but it looks like Jurassic could possibly have a lunge on Harry. Hercules, my mistake, for P2.
Yes, trying to get that move done on Hercules on track. If you can get this move done, that will still secure in P2 in this race. At the moment, it's a third place for Jurassic as it stands, but that penalty a couple of laps ago could cost him that second place unless he can get that move done. But Hercules is within DRS range, I think, of Harry B just going onto this back straight, so that's going to save him a little bit of time down towards turn 8.
Benny has passed. Speaking of Benny, who kind of got was the cause of the second safety car here, is now past Exelic for 11. So really, it was looking good, and then that one little incident is cost him dearly.
Yeah, up to 11th place, but it's not going to be much of comfort for him as Nightshades picks up another penalty. Currently running in 10th place. We come on to the final few corners then of this race. Young Power has the raw speed, should have had the raw speed probably to win this race. He's been absolutely flying. He's used all of his ERS in these last laps. He's been flying all race long, but the penalties he's picked up is going to cost him massively. M-Short going for a final run at Vettel.
Going to try something here.
Yeah, around the outside.
We'll keep an eye on both things here. Nope, he's not going to make it. He's going to try a switchback. It's not going to work. Young Power gets a time penalty. Another one. Power will win the race. Harry will get home first. Hercules second. Guinnessy third. Short will actually come home fourth. Harris will get fifth. Amazing Hour sixth. Power seventh. Power eighth now. He's still falling. Vettel actually got another time penalty, so that is what caused him to go from fifth to 10th.
Oh, that final corner as well. That battle just with M-Short on that final corner, I think, has cost Vettel massively down to 10th. M-Short solid in 4th. That is somewhat of a comfort from what could have been a race win for him. But in the end, Harry B were one of the only drivers to keep it clean in that race. Harry B and Zalma were the only two drivers to get through that race without a penalty. And in the end, like we said at the start of the stream, penalties will play dividends in this race, and it definitely did. Harry B comes out on top.
He will win this race, and it's just a proof. Again, I've won a league. I got second in a league race by consistency. Consistency matters, and let Harry be a lesson of that right now. That if you're consistent in these races, you can actually do better than pushing it sometimes.
Yeah, well, if you've got the speed, but you can't keep it on the road, that is going to cost you big time. It cost Young Power massively in this race. He had the raw speed to win it on track, but the penalties have dropped him down to a P8 finish in the end. What a disaster for Renault, really. It has been. Actually, I say a disaster for Renault. Hercules ended up picking up second place despite his penalty, so that's worked out quite nicely.
But one driver it was good for. The other driver, he's probably screaming in the paddock right now, and he's now actually, he's fallen dearly.
Yeah, probably.
He did get eighth, though. He did get the fastest lap, though, so at least give him that much.
Yeah, he's got something from that. So he had raw speed to win the race on track. He got the fastest lap of the race as well. P8 is a good recovery from 11 seconds of penalties, so that is somewhat of a positive for Young Power to take away from this race. But Harry B's the first non-Mercedes driver to win this season. He will win here at Canada ahead of Hercules, who's on the podium for the first time this season. Jurassic on the podium just for the second time. Yeah, just like real life. Yeah, the second time this season as well that Jurassic is on the podium. That's Harry B's first podium this season as well, I think. M-Short will extend his championship lead over Amazing Hour. Charlie Harris with his best result of the season so far in 5th. Amazing Hour 6th. That is Zaldima, Young Power, Benny, and Vettel 10th. And it's Nightshades, Brewich, Bugner, and John.
Something else we're noting is Short and the Williams will extend their lead in the constructor standing. So even though actually won't Short pass Amazing Hour on points, if I'm not mistaken?
Oh yes, he will.
Short will take over the lead, and Williams will extend their lead in the constructors.
Yeah, despite there only being one driver for Williams tonight, they extend their championship lead. That's just purely down to the fact that Venoms had such a horrible race tonight. It just didn't go well for him at any point tonight, not in qualifying nor in the racing. Amazing Hour couldn't recover after a botched pit stop onto that safety car. So that is,
And if my math,
yeah.
and one more thing, I just want to point out, if my math is correct, Jurassic will actually jump to P3 because remember Kaiser DNF'd and the fourth place driver Excel's not here. Excel Nayo. So yeah, so top 3 will be short, amazing hour, and a little bit of a wide gap to Jurassic.
Yeah, at the moment, so that is going to be... It's a net game for Jurassic, but overall, I think third place will be a bit further behind now because Jurassic was obviously, I believe, in 5th going into this round in the standings.
38 points.
Yeah, so it's
He
going
was
to be...
30 behind.
Yeah, it's going to be a solid gap between the top 2, but still M-Shot back into the lead of the championship then by virtue of a 4th place finish over the 6th place finish that we got from Amazing Hour today. So heading into round 5 of the championship this time next week, that's going to be a very interesting risk. I can't actually remember where we are this time next week on the calendar. Just going to double check.
I want to say it was Austria, but I'll quickly try to check before we go off air here if I can pull it up.
I think it's Britain, if I'm actually not mistaken. It is. I think we go to Britain first and then Austria after that. So a little bit of a change in order by the looks of things compared to real life.
Correct.
So we head
it's going to be a home race for the British.
Yeah, home race for me as a commentator as well. Only 5 minutes down, only about 15 minutes down the road. So that's going to be fun to watch over. And yeah, Silverstone, such an iconic track once again. That is going to be a great race to watch. Before we finish off the stream though today, who was your driver of the day today, Pepsi?
You know, I'm going to give it to Harry. You actually had Harry predicting to get a podium, but I'm going to give it to Harry. He had good pace here today, but again, proof of consistency matters. You want to win, you want to do well, you have to keep it clean. And if you want a sample of what will go wrong, look at the Renault driver that finished first on track, but now finishes 8th.
Yeah, that is exactly true. Like you say, I think Young Power is a proof of what can go wrong if you can't keep the car, if you get the penalties, and Harry is a proof of what can go right if you keep it nice and clean and consistent. And I fully agree with you. Harry does take my driver of the day today. Maybe it wasn't the fastest and raw speed, but was the smartest and the cleanest driver today, and that paid dividends around a circuit where penalties do play a big part in the race. But that is where we're going to finish off the stream today, guys. Thank you so much everyone for tuning into the stream once again. See us this time next week, 8 PM on a Wednesday, for the 5th round of the season at Silverstone. That is going to be a great race once again. Formula 2 as well, the second tier of the EML Formula 1 No Assist Championship, runs at 7 PM this time next Wednesday at Silverstone as well. So tune into that. That'll be the second round of the season this time next week. Tune into League Racing TV as well for the rest of the week. We have got Divisions 2 and 3 tomorrow at 8 PM for the next round of Season 3. And we have got Divisions 4 and 5 on Friday. And then Division 1 is back next Tuesday. But for myself and Pepsi, it is thank you very much for tuning in once again. And we will see you this time next week. Goodbye.
Thank you.